Hey, what's up my Dragon Legion? How y'all been? Hello Dragoons, today we're going to be doing a CardFight Vanguard deck profile today of my current Eradicator, Tempest Bolt, Ignition deck profile. Now, I know not too long ago of last year, we already did a deck profile about this, but I decided to change things up a little bit with this deck right here, and do some weird things about this deck with here and there and such. The deck right here is, well, kind of a little bit mixture of being the same with either the recent deck profile of my Eradicators I just did not too long ago, or a recent version of that version of Tempest Ignition not too long ago back then. So the deck all around is a little bit more aggro, aggressive. Like unlike the recent deck profile I've done of Eradicators around the week after this video is being uploaded and such. The last time I did a video of this deck, of this Eradicator deck right here, I was doing a profile version build of a build that's a little bit more mellowed out, that can still retire some good rear guards, but back then it was a little bit mellowed out and have a little bit field established control. And this is not to say that that build is not obsolete. That build is not obsolete. There's just a lot of great builds of what you can do with Eradicators as a whole, and I'm just right here messing around with some builds right here. If you Dragoons ever want to try out this build right here, I do recommend trying out at least change up a few things right here in particular. Right here, this build right here is just here to mess around and have some fun with, and it's a really cool deck, and this guy can just allow you to get aggressive and just tear up some rear guards right out of nowhere. So, and the best part about this deck right here is it could actually coexist with the Eradicator, not Eradicators. Well, yes, too. This deck could also coexist with the new Stride mechanic cards once they become real things. So, yeah, it's interesting knowing that Eradicators, a limit break based deck, can go pretty well with Stride cards. That's actually pretty good saying out that out loud. So, yeah, with that being said, let's get right straight to deck profile right now. Shall we, Dragoons? Right, start off with your starting Vanguard. We have one Lelouch, I can't say his name right. Your ideal starting Vanguard for this type of deck for Eradicators, unless you're playing like a different type of specific build of Eradicators. Forerunner, and when he's boosting unit and he attack his head, count less one, put him in your Vanguard, and retire a grade 1 or less rear guard. Take out those knowing starting Vanguards, Forerunners you don't want to deal with. Take out those certain grade 1s you don't want to deal with. All that great stuff. Yeah. We all know how good this guy is. So yeah, one Lelouch. Again, I apologize for keep getting the name wrong. And then next up for the trigger lineup, we have, of course, the 4 heals. I don't think I really need to explain how important the heals are when it comes to Vanguard. And if you Dragoons haven't seen my deck profiles for Vanguard for quite some time, I think you all will see this one coming from a mile away. 6 critical and 6 draw lineup right here. This is my favorite lineup of all lineups right here. This allows me to be equal, being aggressive and inflict as much damage as I possibly can, while still being on defensive and allow me to draw into what I really need to draw into the most, so I can get to my key cards and do some key stuff and such. And I do apologize for the glare right there. So yeah. So 6/6, that's what we still got going on and such. Once Stride mechanic does begin official for Narukami, I may actually try out the 7 critical and 5 draw lineup that I know some people are doing. I'll think about it. I'm not 100% sure yet. Alright, next up for the grade 1s, we have, of course, your 4 perfect guards. Don't think I really need to explain why this is important right here. Next up, we have 4 copies of Eradicator Egglum Drago Kid, as I like to call him Eggy, as I like to nickname him Eggy every now and then. Eggy, he's just a really great card. As long as he's facing the field, your grade 3 Vanguard. Wow, I need to speak English properly. Your grade 3 Vanguard can use his limit break ability without waiting until your damage is 4 or more. So, just Eradicators having that ability to go early limit break out of nowhere, it's just very fantastic to do. And with guys with little cute guys like this, you can just expect your deck to do just do a lot of fun things time to time. There. All right. Next up for the rest of grade 1s, we have 4 copies of your Deadly Eradicator. When you ride into your grade 3 Vanguard, you can just put him in Soul of your Vanguard, and when you do, you can just retire a front row unit of your choice. Now, just like in my previous video, when it was more of a control-based deck, just like this build right here, while this deck is a little bit more aggressive compared to the last deck profile, this build right here, I still want to be aggressive, retire some rear guards. However, keep in mind, there is still a huge possibility where you're not always going to be able to go off with your ideal Vanguard limit break all the time, and also you do not, and also another good thing I like about him over other choices in particular is because keep in mind you will be retiring your own rear guards when you go off of your Tempest Bolt Dragon's ability, so you might as well get the best use of your rear guards before they go away. So might as well use this guy's ability to get rid of some guys in particular, and then you won't have to worry about killing off your rear guards every now and then. Especially when you don't feel like using your Tempest Bolt Dragon's ability just yet. So yeah, 4 Deadly Eradicators. And then, last but not least, 2 copies of Rising Phoenix. Soul Blast 2, draw a card, nothing really too special about him. The only non-Eradicator you ever want to play in a Eradicator-based deck, because it is important that this guy allows you to Soul Blast 2, draw 1, but at the same time, you don't want to clog your deck with so many non-Eradicators, because there's a good possibility those non-Eradicators will hit your damage. And if you have a good portion of non-Eradicators in your damage, you may not be able to go off with your certain abilities really too oftenly. So 2, if you want 3 of him, is just fine. Again, based on player's preference. If you want to do 3 can work just fine. But yeah, 2 or 3 Rising Phoenix, that's all you need for non-Eradicators, and your deck will flow just fine with what you're doing. And that's it for the grade 2s. Now for the grade 2, no, I'm sorry, that was it for the grade 1s. Now for the grade 2s. There we go. There we go. I got my head straight. Next up, we have 4 Spark Rains, your typical 12k attacker. No explanation why this is important. And then 4 Chow Hoes. Really just like a Deadly Eradicator, a really great card to help me out with some of my combos I'm trying to do, and help establish a little bit more control in case something were to happen where when I'm not too comfortable with using Tempest Bolt Dragon's ability yet. His ability is, for those who do not remember, when he's placed in Vanguard rear guard circle, choose one of your Eradicator rear guards and retire one of your opponent's front row guys of your choice. So, yeah, all in all, just a great card, and just the fact that you can retire one of your opponent's rear guards without attacking or counterblasting is always pretty handy to keep in mind, and it has came around to be very helpful every now and then, time to time. And last but not least, 3 copies of Thunderboom Dragon, just your typical good 10k, a grade 2 vanilla guy. Nothing really too special about that. So yeah, that's all I'm really doing for the grade 2 lineup. Wow, look at me rush myself right there. That is it for the grade 2 lineup. Now for the grade 3 lineup, we have, of course, 4 copies of Eradicator Ignition Dragon. Probably the best break ride card right now at the moment for Eradicators, or even in Narukami in general, in my opinion. Counterblast 1, when you ride your Narukami on top of him, counterblast 1 card, and your opponent chooses 2 rear guards of his or her choice to be retired, and that Vanguard I wrote on top of him also gains 10,000 power. Very great card to utilize. This definitely gives you a lot of advantages to allow you to mellow out a little bit. Now, this gives you a good opportunity to not go off with Tempest Bolt Dragon unless you really need to. So what you can do is of course, just ride Tempest Bolt on top of your Ignition Dragon, and then just have your Ignition Dragon use its ability to kill your 2 rear guards, do your whatevers, and then next turn, then go off your Tempest Bolt Dragons and just break some field. Now, if that never happens, like if you don't ever get to this guy at all, it's not the end of the world. Tempest Bolt Dragon alone can really do some great things. But if you do get him going, you should be in a pretty good situation for a while. Especially if you do another thing in particular that could actually help you out, and that is riding Ignition Dragon on top of another Ignition Dragon. Now, it may not be as good as riding a good grade 3 in particular, but it does help you out with some good things in particular. Another good thing you do with this is just ride Ignition on top of Ignition, break ride, kill your 2 rear guards, and then next turn, either break ride with another Ignition or break ride with a Tempest Bolt Dragon, have more rear guards retired, and just next turn you can just have some fun with your Tempest Bolt Dragon. So Ignition Dragon, as always, a great reliable grade 3 for Narukami Eradicators and in general. So yeah. Again, if you don't want to play Ignition Dragon in a Tempest Bolt based deck, it's not a bad idea. It's not always a bad thing to do, but it's always based upon players' preference of what you want to do with decks like this. So yeah, so you could actually get away with playing a Tempest Bolt deck without playing Ignition Dragon, and the deck would probably flow just fine, if not probably pretty well as well, depending on what you're doing. And of course, max copies of your ideal grade 3, max copies of Tempest Bolt Dragon. Limit Break 4, Counter Blast 3 Eradicators, retire all rear guards on all fighter sides field, and this guy gained, I believe, 2,000 power. Yeah, he gains 2,000 power for each open rear guard circle whenever he attacks. So what you want to do with this guy is So what you want to do is when you're playing a deck that's based upon around him, what you want to do is mellow out. Try and make a habit of not calling that many rear guards if you can make it a habit, except for maybe Eggy if you need to or such. And then other than that, just go off with your Tempest Bolt Dragon's ability, Limit Break ability, and just retire all your opponent's rear guards and only retire like one or few, or if not even none of your rear guards. And then right then you can just call a decent amount of rear guards. And depending on what you have going on such, you may not even need to have Tempest Bolt Dragon be boosted. Like Tempest Bolt Dragon by himself, after you go off his Limit Break ability, could potentially be swinging up to 21 power, if not more, by himself. So you won't even need a good booster to boost him up. Like, something I would probably recommend is something like, for example, have like a Spark Rain, a good booster behind Spark Rain, and then just tech with those guys, and then just tech him as a Vanguard, and that's it. And Tempest Bolt Dragon by himself, without being boosted by a rear guard, can be swinging at your opponent with some big, huge numbers right there by himself. So, yeah, right there by himself, Tempest Bolt Dragon seems like a very great, reliable card right there to mess around with. So, yeah. Alright, so that right there, Dragoons, was my current deck profile for my Narukami, Eradicator, Tempest, Ignition deck profile. Now, I have been informed that Eradicator's just got a new Grade 3 not too long ago. I can't remember his name right now at the moment, but I do believe what he says is Limit Break 4, pitch 3 Eradicators, and retire all opponents' retire all rear guards and all fire circles, just like pretty much like Tempest Bolt Dragon. So maybe in the near future, if I do pick up 4 copies of that deck, that card, pick up 4 copies of that card, I may actually do another Eradicator deck profile by using only it'll pretty much be maybe exactly the same what you see right here, only except without the Ignition Dragon. We may see 4 copies of that other dragon instead, and have 4 copies of Tempest Bolt Dragon at the same time. So that's actually pretty fun to consider and have around mess with. And also, as I said in one of my Steel Dragons deck profile I mentioned a while back ago, I also did mention that in the near future I do plan on making a Sweep Command Eradicator deck profile. So that will be probably a little bit while before I get that deck profile done. But I am only missing 1 or 2 cards, and that's about it. And I'll have that deck done already as well. So expect some pretty cool Eradicator deck profiles in the near future, Dragoons. And speaking of Eradicators, it's very, as I said in the beginning of this video, it's very interesting to me that Eradicators are more focused on doing the Limit Break abilities, yet they have a lot of potentials to adapt very well to the stride mechanic. Now, they are nowhere as good as most of the other good cards that's been coming out as of late. However, if your opponent underestimates the Eradicators for at least a moment, they could pay for a hard, and your Eradicators could just have fun and just annihilate everything and potentially go for game right there all day long. So, Eradicators, still a fun deck to mess around with. And if you Dragoons want to mess around with this deck right here, specifically, as I just showed you all, Dragoons, what I highly recommend you, Dragoons, if you want to play this deck seriously, I recommend do one of 2 things if you do plan on net decking this deck. One thing, I recommend taking out one Tempest. I recommend doing 1 or 2 things. I recommend taking out at least 1 Tempest Bolt Dragon and 1 Ignition Dragon, and adding at least 2 copies of Descendant, or take out 2 Tempest and 1 Ignition, and put in 3 copies of the Descendant instead. Because while Tempest Bolt Dragon and Ignition Dragon are pretty much somewhat good buddies every now and then, what you're trying to do, keep in mind what you want to do is you want to have somewhat of a recovery way, if you know what I mean. Like, by the time Tempest Bolt Dragon is done going off his Limit Break ability, you're going to want someone to allow you to beat down whatever's left of your opponent, and by riding a Descendant on top of your Tempest Bolt Dragon, the turn after your Tempest Bolt Dragon goes off his Limit Break ability, can definitely allow you to open up with some big, huge power push plays that your opponent does not want to deal with. So that's just my opinion, and that's just my suggestion. If anyone does ever net deck this deck, and they net deck this deck exactly like so, that's fine. I do highly suggest maybe try out some differences here and there, because not everyone's deck is going to be not every deck you see right here is going to coexist with every person. Everyone always has their own best personal opinion about certain things. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. And with that being said, Let me know what Dragoons think about this deck profile in the comment section down below. And I'll see Dragoons around. Hope you Dragoons enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and a favorite if you did, and share this video with other people. It really helps me out a lot. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Subscribe today to become part of the Dragon Legion Alliance. And I'll see Dragoons another day. Christian Dragoon, signing out. Peace.